It began as a whisper in the palace corridors, the kind that even walls lean in to hear. At Clarence House, usually clipped and formal voices suddenly muttered words like disaster and catastrophic, not about a dress at Ascot, but about Prince Harry, once hailed as the monarchy's modern hope and now seen as its wrecking ball. There had been hope for repair, father and son at Clarence House with tea poured and the air heavy with expectation. After years of interviews, memoirs, and Netflix specials, King Charles still opened the door offering one last chance. But instead of quiet gratitude, Harry arrived with strange accusations of dark forces, sabotage, and conspiracies, turning reconciliation into turmoil. For Charles, already burdened by the crown and his health, it felt like trying to hold water while Harry poked holes through his fingers. Insiders whisper Harry burns bridges as fast as others send texts. Friends, duties, and family ties left scorched until he stands on an island of his own making. Even his Centabal charity, meant to show compassion, ended as a PR disaster after a public clash with its respected chairwoman, Sandra Chandela. The fallout left Harry's charity in ruins. Another hopeful project turned into disaster. The palace didn't respond with fury, but with a dagger wrapped in silk, calling his actions counterproductive, royal code for dangerous and unacceptable. Much like the late Queen's velvet sledgehammer, recollections may vary. Those close to King Charles say his patience has snapped. Already battling illness and the strain of duty, he's mystified and hurt by Harry's talent for turning chances at healing into fresh feuds. In an unprecedented move, Charles personally authorized officials to speak bluntly about his own son, something royals rarely do unless cornered. Meanwhile, Harry's claims of dark forces and invisible enemies inside Buckingham Palace have drawn eye rolls even from seasoned courtiers, who quietly wonder if his past admissions of drug use left deeper scars than anyone realized. A question whispered, but never asked aloud.
It's no longer just whispers, but genuine worry. Former allies now shake their heads at what Harry has become. A man trapped by his own anger, lashing out, retreating, then striking again until even charities once proud of his name see him as a liability. Centabal stands as proof, once promising, now a hollow shell. While across the ocean in Montecito, glossy chicken coop photos and soft-focus garden smiles try to project happiness. Yet nothing signals insecurity like proclaiming, "I'm happy," on repeat, the public believing it less each time. Into this climate, the palace's icy, counterproductive landed like a thunderbolt. Not a dismissal, but a verdict. You've sabotaged yourself. Those close to King Charles describe years of frustration boiling over, a father haunted as each olive branch becomes another weapon. This latest Clarence House debacle felt to him like a slap instead of a handshake, a personal betrayal he refused to swallow quietly. For the first time, he authorized officials to speak on record, an extraordinary break from royal silence, to tell the world not to take Harry's version as truth. Yet Harry doubled down, painting himself as the lone truth-teller and moral cavalry, while forgetting he's the one who called his family racists, cashed in grievances on Netflix, and spilled every secret he could find, and now still claims he wants to help both public and palace.
It's almost laughable. One insider quipped that watching Harry's latest moves is like Count Dracula volunteering at a blood bank. The arrogance and audacity leave jaws on the floor, and Charles is far from alone in his frustration. Over in Kensington Palace, William feels a quiet, even reluctant vindication. For years, he warned that his younger brother's recklessness would end in ruin. The impulsive decisions, the constant craving for validation, the inability to keep confidences, and the blind spots about how his actions land on others. Now, while publicly focused on his wife's health, his children, and his own steady preparation for kingship, he sees the consequences unfold exactly as he predicted: reinforcing his belief that the monarchy cannot and will not bend to accommodate Harry's chaos, because doing so is simply too dangerous. Among the public, the mood is fractured. Some still see the boy trailing behind Diana's coffin, the soldier who risked his life in Afghanistan, the cheeky prince who once charmed the world, and they pity him as a tragic figure whose gifts curdled into grievances. Others, however, have lost patience. They see entitlement and hypocrisy, the least happy millionaire raging from a Montecito mansion while ordinary people struggle with bills and uncertainty. Each stiff lawyerly denial from Harry's camp only worsens matters. Take the recent spat about his meeting with Charles. In trying to swat down a newspaper story as lies and invention, his team inadvertently confirmed key details, like the exchange of gifts, accidentally lending the report credibility. It was a rookie misstep, the kind you cannot afford when sparring with an institution as meticulous and experienced as the Crown. The palace, after all, does not use words casually. When they label his remarks counterproductive, it is not filler language but a deliberate strike, a sharpened blade wrapped in velvet, a chess move designed to sting without provoking open war. Yet Harry still seems to play checkers, shouting louder, issuing clumsy rebuttals, and drawing even more attention to his missteps. The damage now feels permanent. The idea of him rejoining the royal fold in any meaningful capacity is effectively dead. The late Queen made clear there would be no half-in, half-out arrangement, and Charles, after this latest circus, has no appetite to revisit it. Any future invitations to family events will likely be brief, carefully stage-managed, and layered with protection and PR oversight. Because once trust evaporates inside royal circles, it almost never returns. And that is the real tragedy. The door was once open, the path back existed, and now it has closed with a quiet but unmistakable finality.
Even after the explosive revelations in Spare, the Oprah interview, and the Netflix drama, Harry still had a slim but real chance to rebuild some trust, a moment to sit with his father, keep his counsel, and show he could once again practice discretion. Instead, suspicion and resentment took over. The story inside Britain's royal circles has now hardened into something far less forgiving, a weary king fighting illness and carrying the weight of duty, unwilling to indulge a wayward son, a brother forced to watch from a safe distance, and a prince steadily undone by his own choices and words. Courtiers who've spent decades perfecting the art of discretion now mutter that Harry has become a walking crisis, a man who turns private encounters into public grenades. They say the much-anticipated Clarence House meeting, once envisioned as a tender reunion between father and son, is now whispered about as an embarrassment Charles may already wish had never happened, fearing every private conversation will be twisted into a fresh feud. Meghan's silence in this round, whether born of fatigue or strategy, only highlights how isolated Harry has become and how little insulation he has left. The irony is cutting. He still casts himself as the truth-teller, the whistleblower, the hero trying to reform the monarchy, but the institution has moved on without him. William and Kate quietly prepare for their reign, Charles shoulders the crown with stoic persistence, and Harry stands outside the gates shouting into the wind, convinced his voice still matters. Once the cheeky spare who could breathe new life into the House of Windsor, he now serves as a cautionary tale. The man who mistook rebellion for relevance, who traded trust for headlines, and in trying to burn down the palace walls, only set himself ablaze. Within the palace, the strategy is clear. Distance, silence, tightly choreographed appearances, and layers of protection to ensure there is no new circus. For Harry, though, the struggle may never truly end. As long as he clings to a narrative of sabotage and victimhood, he will keep fighting battles that exist more in his mind than in reality. A prince who once had the world at his feet, now raging against shadows, while the monarchy he rejected carries on without him. Stronger, quieter, and, to the frustration of his critics, more unified than ever.